There was no new champions crowned on Saturday at UFC 311 at Intuit Dome in Inglewood, as both Renato Moicano and Umar Nurmagomedov fall short of gold in two extremely different circumstances. Of course, in the headliner, Moicano steps up to fight Islam Makhachev on 1 day's notice. He was originally supposed to fight Beneil Dariush, and when Arman Tsarukyan fell off the card, he jumps at the opportunity and moves into the main event spot. Big choice by Moicano to take this fight. It was a lot of risk, but obviously the upside was tremendous if he was able to pull off this huge upset. He did have a couple moments in there, but ultimately Makhachev just too good, too elite right now at this point in his career, and is able to submit Moicano in the first round with a Darce choke, and a bitter pill to swallow for Moicano. You saw him in the post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, really just kind of taking it all in, saying this wasn't 1 day's notice, it was a lifetime of work, and he should have done more, and all this different stuff, but just knew that he was not on Makhachev's level tonight, and it is what it is. But even though this was a loss, I think massive upside for Moicano's career going forward. He got a new contract for this fight, he got a raise, and a lot of big things I'm sure coming his way now that he is kind of on that pay scale elevation. And when you're there, the UFC likely to only put you in there against kind of more marquee names within your division and headlining spots and things like that. So I do think there is a lot of opportunities coming Moicano's way. Will he ever fight for a UFC title again? My gut would tell me probably not, but I do think there's still fun fights to be had for him in the lightweight division, and you could really go any direction. I mean, who would say no to the loser of Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker? Who would say no to putting the fight back together with Dariush if they wanted to do that? There's guys like Rafael Fiziev, a lot of different stuff you could do in this lightweight division. So I think Moicano is probably going to enjoy the money he made on this night, no pun intended, and some time with his family, let this digest, and then I expect to see him back at some point later this year against one of these guys within the top 10, and then we will see how he performs in that fight with the opponent that he's actually been training for. So unfortunate night for Moicano, but he saved this card by stepping up, and as I said, it was a huge uphill climb for him. He couldn't pull it off. As far as the co-main event, Umar Nurmagomedov was very impressive in the first couple rounds of his fight with Merab Dvalishvili, but he could not keep it up for all 5 rounds. The hand injury that he claims he sustained in the first round, how much did that really affect the performance? You could say that didn't seem to be the issue in the fight for him. It was more conditioning, but you just never know how the mental fatigue affects your physical fatigue, all that different stuff. So a big learning lesson for Nurmagomedov, I think, in this fight. If you come away not being impressed with him or thinking that he is not the future of this weight class, I don't know what to tell you. The guy's only 26 years old, and he's got a tremendous upside for his career. So I think we see big things still going forward with Nurmagomedov. It's just a question of how does he kind of proceed and get himself back into position for another title shot, which I do expect him to have in his career. The hand injury, if that requires surgery, a long layoff, fights happen. We'll see how the division unfolds, but he is highly ranked, and there's only a few people around him, the likes of Piotr Yan, Davidson Figueiredo, Chito Vera. Maybe if Song Yadong beats Henry Cejudo next month in Seattle, they can do that fight that they were trying to put together late in the year when this title fight wasn't really materializing the way they wanted it to. So a lot of options for Nurmagomedov. The upside of him fighting for this title so early in his career and in a quick rise in many people's mind is he hasn't fought a lot of the top names in the division. So pick a name out of a hat when the timing works and when he's healthy, and we are going to have a lot more great fights from Umar Nurmagomedov in his career, but no longer undefeated and comes up short of gold, as did Moicano in the main event. A tough night for the challengers, and that was what went down at UFC 311 and what I think should happen next.